Today we're going to talk about watering, some very basic principles about watering. So first of all, it's photosynthesis, the sun shining on the plants, that creates the pump that brings water and nutrition up from the soil. So watering at night might not be the ideal time. Of course, it's better than nothing, but early morning would probably be really good. The other thing to remember is that the plants do not drink through their leaves. They drink through their roots. Now, it's nice to have rain and water on top of the leaves to wash them clean from dirt or dust or whatever. And maybe it's easier for them to breathe. Remember, they take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. So when you're watering, you want to water the roots, the base of the plant, okay? You want to water the base of the plant. It's unavoidable to get the top of the plant some. I've watered this morning, but it's important to water the base of the plant. For instance, these impatiens are what, 18 inches tall at least. When I got them, they were maybe 10. And I have to water the base of the plant as much as possible. Now, I live on a hill, on a mountain. So I've got a steep grade, you can see. So the water flows down by gravity. So if you're going to plant on a hill, you need to make sure that you're watering above the plant because the water is going to run down. And if the top of the soil is very dry, it's going to run clean off the top and not soak in at all. It's just going to run down like you were watering cement. So you have to also water from the uphill because it's going to go down. Now remember about wicking. You know how willow trees can suck so much water out that there isn't anything left for anything that you plant around the base of a willow tree? Well, other plants can suck away pull away the water from the things that you're planting, that you're watering, trying to water at least 4 to 6 inches down. So it's important to water from uphill and also at the base of the plant. I remember at least one gardener I'm familiar with, he watered the tops of all his plants, never aimed it at the base. Well, I suppose there are some plants that would work because they're designed to, like for instance my coffee cup here. It's designed to capture the water and send it back to the roots. And a lot of the hostas are the same way. Let me show you the hostas here. So see how they funnel the water back to the root ball? You see that? So when the rain hits the plant, it shunts it back to the root ball. Now a good exercise is to once in a while stick your finger in the dirt, 3 or 4 inches, poke a hole, and then put your finger down and see exactly how far down the soil is damp. Once you get it damp down those at least 3 or 4 inches, then when you water, it's going to soak in rather than run off so much. Okay? Remember, with textiles, one of the ways we evaluate them is, how quickly does the fiber spread out the spill or the drops of water. Well, soil's kind of the same way. So spot watering, if you live in a particularly dry climate and you're just putting drip around, you're going to want to put it around what you believe is the root ball of the plant, or and then expand it to the anticipated drip line. Now, drip line's not necessarily true for all plants. I know that when I pulled up my Collias 3 years ago, they were mid-thigh high. The root balls weren't any bigger than the pots that they had been originally planted in, which was like 2 inch. I think they were 2 inch maybe. Maybe that's the reason why people try to break up the roots a little bit to encourage them to spread out. I'm not a gardener. I'm just using some basic sense about these things. We're losing some of our hostas this year. Some of it's because of deer and moles. I can't figure out why these two have turned yellow and are dying. They're see, it's not a question of something getting them from the roots. We've had a little bit more pressure from deer and moles and turkeys with our plants this year. Not as bad as my brother has down the hill a little ways. So remember about watering. Photosynthesis is the activating principles that pulls water up from the roots, the nutrition up from the roots. So the best time I would imagine is to water first thing in the morning. And then of course they'll have enough hydration to get through a hot day. We have maybe another 6 or 8 weeks before frost. This is what, the 3rd week of August? Yeah, we have about 7 weeks maybe. So one thing with impatience is sometimes when I'm watering, trying to get to the roots, and the roots are in. See how much of an overhang I have here? Let's see if you can see that. So to get to the main roots of this, I have to find a hole in the plant canopy, or just have to go ahead and do it every so often through the leaves and through the flowers. The impatiens are incredibly resilient for such soft stems. I just am stunned. As soon as the sun comes up and there's a little bit of photosynthesis going on, they'll straighten right up. Oh, the other interesting thing about impatiens is they make seeds throughout the season, and I do not know what the window is. It must be like 2 to 3 weeks. They make seeds and reseed themselves. So that's part of and they do it throughout the entire season. So that's why I've had so many babies. It isn't just that there were seeds from last year. The existing plants that have been in here since, what, the 1st week of June or so, have already given off seeds more than once, and that's why I have so many babies. Yeah. So remember to water uphill and at the base of the plant. Don't be afraid to stick your finger and stick something in and stick your finger down and see how far down it's damp. That would be called a core sample. If you had something to do, a core sample. You could use an apple core for that if you don't want to use your finger. Do a core sample and see just exactly how far the soil is wet, moist going down. The other thing to remember about impatiens is they can grow with their feet in water. They're often used around water features, and they actually have their feet in the water. So it's impossible to water them too much. Now, I'm not silly. I'm lucky if I get out here every morning to water them. We were supposed to have rain last evening, and it didn't happen. And I'm supposed to have a rain again this evening. So I've gone ahead and watered this morning so that they'll have enough water to get through the day and the heat of the day, and because it doesn't always rain, right? It doesn't always rain. Oh, another interesting thing about impatiens. Do you see how the canopy, it looks like somebody came in and trimmed them into a, you know, a nice hedge. And that's not the case. They automatically bring their leaves to the absolute surface to capture every little bit of light. I know there's a photographer in Japan who reported, she likes to take pictures of trees, that in her observation in the forest, the trees made a huge point to not touch each other's leaves. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I think it would depend on how densely the trees were planted next to each other. But you see here, everything is growing out to where it can reach for the sunshine. And all the leaves are on the surface. It's interesting, isn't it? So it's a very good, it's successful here because it looks like I've got a complete planting here. These were originally planted, I think, a good 8 to 10 inches apart, and each plant got at least that wide so far. So that's brilliant. Now, as a contrast, we have our New Guinea impatiens here, and they will sometimes wilt in full sun too. And this one has wilted down really bad one time, and put it a little bit more in the shade and make sure it had water. It really wasn't entirely a water issue. But the sun impatiens are not as resilient as my regular ones are. I lost on my hay racks that are on the side of the house. I had one planted in each of the 3 boxes, and I don't know if it was a combination of being dry and a really hot day or what, but they wilted down and are burnt, and I don't think they're going to recover. Fortunately, the impatiens filled everything in. So, the lesson of the day about watering. Thank you for joining me.